It is game day in communities all across the great state of South Carolina. I know earlier that I mentioned all the games of high school programs that are ranked. We have mentioned some others in different areas of the state as well, and some that we haven't gotten to. We'll mention a couple of other quick ones here. Green Sea Floyd's at Loris. I already mentioned this 4 times. Going to mention it again. Wando and Socastee tonight, up in Socastee. Go Warriors. Phil, my Wando Friday predictions are back. Wando wins tonight 75-0 over Socastee. So Coach Perrin in his debut, he's just going to run them out of the building. Northwood Academy and Pinewood Prep. This is a very small, 2 small schools, but really unique down here in our neck of the woods. Northwood Academy, coached by Johnny Waters, formerly at First Baptist. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful football coach and a wonderful man. But he's got his hands full tonight with Devontae Holloman in Pinewood Prep out there in the Somerville area. So good luck to those teams as they play. Ashley Ridge is at Berkeley tonight, so best of luck to them as they play. Emerald is at 96. Dreer at Keenan. Macby is at Sherall tonight. Sherall, like, hey, Big John, the good side of the Flint family, Miss Charlotte, the home of that side, the Bournes. Bernie Bourne, if anybody's ever met Mr. Bernie, one of the best football coaches in the history of the state. Hemingway is at Mullins tonight at 7:30. AC Flora, they're at Westwood tonight at 7:30. Goose Creek is up there in North Myrtle Beach. They'll play. So just a few more games being played around the state tonight. Best of luck to all these guys as they get on the field, and look forward to seeing what all the high school kids do. A reminder: our app, if you like high school football, I can't tell you enough. Download, if you haven't, the Chief Sports app. If you have downloaded it, just pull it up, click on the Chief High School section. You can scroll through the scoreboard on Friday nights of all the games. JC does it from Chicago. And at 10 o'clock tonight, the scoreboard show will be on, and it will be live with Kornblut and the gang. You can't watch it. It's just a stream. That's how they do it. You can listen to that tonight at 10 o'clock like you're listening to radio. Get all your high school stuff from Friday night. And we do have 4 live streams of high schools that play football in this state: Conway, Myrtle Beach, Dorman, and Spartanburg High School. All of their games being streamed live on the Chief Sports app in the Chief High School section. So we're doing everything we can for high school football, and we hope you'll all pull up that app and use it.
Yeah, so tonight, you got Lake City at Myrtle Beach. Dorman has a home game against Greenville High School. That's become a pretty big matchup. I have not seen Conway or Spartan High on the schedule. Yeah, Spartanburg is at South Point.
In
Rock Hill.
Big one.
And I'm trying to find Conway.
Conway is I can't remember who Conway. We read all the top 25 games earlier. I don't think I mentioned Easley at Pickens tonight, but they'll play tonight too.
Burns High School Rebels at TL Hanna. Yellow Jackets, home of radio, and Blake Williamson.
Yep, that's right.
And Brian Maddox.
Who's playing in Bainbridge? Who's playing in Bainbridge, Georgia tonight? Big John, the home of Big John Strickland.
Cook County.
Ooh.
They're pretty good. I think they were 12-3 last year, and then they won their first game this year, like 45-7. So we'll see.
Ain't nothing like high school football. Michael Flint played high school football. He usually joins us on Fridays. He said he'd be here, but he's not here right now. He's driving. So we'll find him. Maybe we won't. Who knows?
I'll put his picture out. I need a new picture of Michael Flint, by the way. It looks
put the ugliest photo you can find of him up.
I got one I can send you. You'll love. Yeah. I'll send it to y'all after we get off here.
I got a couple
he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill
I've got a couple we can use.
Please.
John sent me some action shots from the Holtz era. They look great. I got John and his mug shot, like a couple action, and him with his helmet off, looking like he's going to kick somebody's ass, and a nice little montage. And then there's just Flint in his blue suit, smiling like Steve Buscemi or Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
With his that dang red hair. I found one shot of him where I think he dropped the pass or it was intercepted in a game like in 04. That was it. I need some pictures of Flint.
I've got some pictures of Flint. I'll start sharing them when he's the more he doesn't show up, the more those photos come out. Put it that way. All right, John, here we go, man. The Gamecocks are off today. They are off tomorrow. And Mark, by the way, Saluda plays tonight. They play Crescent. They're at Crescent tonight at 7:30. And then they will be back at 5:45, ready to go on Sunday. And then it's game week, right? So officially this week, publicly, Lenore Sellers was named the starting quarterback. And last night, if anybody's been listening to this show, this shouldn't have been a shock, but I did find that there are people that obviously don't listen to this show, that Coach Beamer did publicly hint that Josiah Thompson will get the start next week at left tackle. So, John, a lot of excitement because those two kids can flat out play. But there's a little bit of fear, right? You start a redshirt freshman at quarterback and a true freshman at left tackle. That could be iffy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you want older, experienced guys at as many positions as possible. But obviously, we know Tree was a little banged up early in camp, so it gave Josiah the opportunity to get in there and show what he's got, and he's played pretty well. I've seen him out of practice; he looks good. I think it's really a tight battle between both of them. I think they're probably pretty close to equal. So I think you'll probably see both of them play. I don't see, I don't know. I'm not on the coaching staff, so I can't speak to it. But he's shown what he's got. So, but a true freshman at left tackle makes you a little, but we all know he's got the talent. All right, there's a reason he was a 5-star and rated the number 1 OT in the class last year by several outlets. So, no shocker. Like, I'm not surprised, but freshman at left tackle is always makes you a little nervous.
Yeah, makes you a little nervous. But Andrew, by the way, says the mighty Dixie Hornets. They've got Ridge Spring Minetta tonight. Go Hornets and go Emerald Vikings too, according to Andrew. Awesome. It does. But again, these kids can play, and we did get a little bit more injury news last night from Coach Beamer on Ja'Kai Moore. Looks like Ja'Kai is going to be out for a little bit. So we got 2 linemen in the last week all of a sudden that have gone down after all the health stuff. Him and Aaron Parks will not play this week or next weekend. Aaron Parks probably going to be out to the middle of the year, just so everybody's aware. John, as a matter of fact, you and I kind of exchanged some texts about Aaron. He got rolled up pretty good, I think, in the scrimmage last weekend. So
yeah, he looked like a pretty bad ankle sprain. He had to be helped off during the scrimmage. So ankle sprains are tricky. I had quite a few in my career. Sometimes you can bounce back in 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes you 6 weeks. So just the severity of it, you just you never really know when it comes to those things.
John, Rocket Sanders is ready. He is a rocket. And one of I don't want to call this a misconception. I think it's just something that just isn't is spoken about as how big he's a big running back. He is a beefy dude. I know he's leaned up, but he's still 225, 230 pounds. He's a load. We've seen that. But he's got a hell of a first step too, doesn't he, brother?
Yeah, he's quick with it. He delivers the blows, but he also makes you miss. Coach Beamer talked about it, so I'll talk about it. I thought he looked really good during the scrimmage. I thought he looked like Rocket Sanders that we saw before he was banged up last year. That quick burst once he gets the ball, and then able to cut and make people miss. So I think we're in for some fun with Rocket this season. He looks like he's ready to roll.
Yeah, and then you've got this, like Dowell mentioned on Wednesday, you've got this by committee approach at wide receiver. I mean, they're going to start somebody. I mean, my money's still that Jacob starts, and I think Tyshawn Russell is going to start personally. We'll see about Gage Larvadane. I know he was a little banged up, right? JC Gage had a couple little injury issues, but he's okay. He's ready to go.
Beamer mentioned that, and everybody kind of piled onto it like he was like out, but I don't think he's out. Now, does that mean he may not? I mean, with the receiver situation, they're also close. Maybe he doesn't start, but I don't think it matters really who starts at receiver because I think they're going to rotate 6, 7, 8 guys the whole time.
Yeah. Just in your mind, you're an elite football mind, John. Like, what is that like? You rotating guys in and out. How do you allow guys time to, like, game time is important, like baseball, football, whatever. The more you play, the more comfortable you get. So I'm not necessarily saying that every single play they're gonna have 3 different wideouts on the field. I don't mean that, but and I don't think that's what they mean. But how do you get guys kind of into the flow to be able to have the opportunity to separate themselves from others if you're playing so many?
Well, receivers a weird thing. All right, it's a little bit different than other positions. If you watch during the course of any game, just for any fan that really doesn't pay attention to it, receivers rotate out a good bit. Now you got to think these guys are running 30 to 50, 60 yards downfield just about every play, especially on a pass play. Really their break is when it's a run play and they have to block on the outside, but it's still not a break because you got to run and block the DB. So, you don't want to wear receivers out to when it comes towards the end of the game. They're just dog tired, So I think with this group having so many guys that are close and having about 6 or 7 guys, I actually think it's a good thing for the team. I mean, you could see sometimes because Xavier, he gave 130% every single play he's on the field. But sometimes you could just see him after the play. I mean, he's dog tired. But we didn't have a ton of receivers last year you could just put in the game to replace a guy like him. So Xavier, even though he's tired as hell, his full effort that he's given, 100, 200%, but it still may only be at 90%, was better than what we had with the other guys behind him. So I think this is a good thing that we have this group of guys, 6 or 7 guys, that are all kind of, that we all think can play. What I saw, over the course of spring till now, just being out of practices or whatever, I mean, those guys look pretty good. And I think it's going to be a whole lot more spread around core than just Xavier Legette last year. Hey, let's find him, which I think is better for the offense because it makes the defense not just scheme around one guy. It makes it open up for several guys.
John, JC, you and I have lately really hung our hats on this defense at South Carolina, and what I think is going to be them carrying the load. I think I don't want to say carrying the load. Like, hold on, let me rephrase that because that makes the offense sound like they're just incompetent. That's not what I mean in any way, shape, or form. But what I do think is that the defense is better than the offense. Let's just be blunt. And I also think when they get into SEC play against Kentucky and LSU, in order to win both football games or either football game, the defense is going to have to play incredibly well. Like I just don't think it's feasible to put a ton of points on the offense to go out there and we'll just outscore those guys. Unless you can score, we can score. We'll figure it out. But JC, over the last week or two, we've had conversations. I'm bullish on the defense. He's actually been a little bit more bullish on the offense, right, JC? So with all the things we've discussed with this offense, I mean, and some of the issues that they could have, but then the potential that is there, led by Lenora Sellers. Now that we're a week out and everything's kind of settling, what do you think about that?
Well, I do think the defense right now is ahead of the offense. That's just my opinion, just from watching live. I think the defense – here's the old saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Well, you need a defense that's going to hold other offense preferably below 20 points a game, all right? And then if you can score 20 or plus, you should be able to win the game if you have a defense that's as good as we think this one might be. I do think you do have the key pieces on offense to be great. And I'll be honest with you. It's hard for this offense going against this defense in practice because this defense is really good. Also, this defense is going against them every single day. So they know what, they get a lot of tips and tricks from knowing what the offense is going to do, right? So it makes it even tougher on the offense. But it's also good for our offensive guys, especially those young guys, to go against guys like I feel like we have on defense. So it's making them better. That is for sure. So I think you can see, listen, there's a good chance you can see this offense light up. I mean, you have an electric quarterback that can throw the ball anywhere on the field. I mean, I watched him last week scrimmage. He hit Jared Brown on a post route for a touchdown. That was he threw the ball 65 yards in the air on a dime over the shoulder to Jared Brown. So, I mean, and then we all know what he can do with his feet. So this is just what I'm saying. The offense, but they're going against an elite defense in practice. So it's going to help them out. So I'm ready to see it against somebody they're not hitting every week, all day, every day, and see what gets put out on the field. And then, we'll have that better idea.
16th ranked quarterback in the SEC, and worry about him being able to throw, right, though? Can't throw.
I know.
An athlete.
I love that.
Hey,
I want to.
And that's why I was there because that's like that Tyshawn Russell throw in the Furman game last year. I mean, that thing went 60 yards in the air, and
he's done that in practice
exactly where he needed it to be.
It looks effortless when he throws.
He's got a great deep ball. He's got a great deep ball. Like if you go back and watch the spring, what's happened in fall camp, you go back and watch that Furman game. His deep ball is as good as anybody's. I mean, and he just flicks it easy.
His short to mid-range accuracy, sometimes he'll throw a little higher or low, but I thought the spring game, they basically only threw short and middle range passes. I thought he was on the money. And I think in that Furman game too, he threw, the touchdown was great. He threw a touch pass to Nick Harbor for a touchdown. I think he hit, was it Mangrum over the middle on third down, right in his hands. And listening to Todd and Tommy was talking. Tommy actually said in that game he had a better arm than Rattler. We'll see. Just don't.
Well,
quote me on that.
He may have meant stronger arm. I mean,
probably stronger.
Rattler could probably throw it 70, 75 yards in there. And I don't know. I got a feeling he can throw it 80 or 90.
Rattler puts it where nobody else could get it too. I think it's crazy. Catching up. I just want to bring a couple of things up because you asked. Anderson's going to play. I don't think he's healthy enough to start. It's one of those things where they want to be real careful with him because of the back. I do think he's going to play. Rocket may, James, have 2 years of eligibility, but you don't want him to come back next year. You want him to have a great year.
Yeah, you want him to come out, ball out, because running back shelf lives are short, everybody.
Yeah.
And you want that guy to come out, have a great year this year, and be a top 3 round pick in the NFL draft this coming year.
He could be one of the top backs taken in the draft. NFL guys love guys that can catch the ball. And Thomas Beamer never said they have 8 SEC offensive linemen. I know what quote you're talking about. He said they're going to play 8. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes coaches they only have 4 that can play, and they're praying for the 5th one, right? They have all their guys are SEC offensive linemen. He never used the word SEC and never was insinuating they only had 8. He also said this after Parks got hurt in the last scrimmage. They've known he's going to be down for a while. Ja'Kai Moore is kind of new news, but my guess is that's lingering as well. I just sketched it out, even without Ja'Kai and Parks. There's Marquis Anderson. There's Trovon Ball is going to play. Like I mentioned, there's Big Tree. So there's your 8 plus. That's 8 right there. So absolutely not. I think you kind of maybe missed it. Maybe you heard it from somebody else, like a game of telephone or something. That's definitely not what he said.
Yeah, I'll touch on that.
Go for
it. If you watch the show, Thomas, I touched on this 3 weeks ago, right before we started fall camp, was that I felt like we had 8 or 9 guys who could compete for starting and playing time. That's my exact words 3 weeks ago on this show. And that's basically what Beamer is saying. Basically, they have 8 guys right now that if they had to move one in and one out. They feel like they have 8 guys who could go out and start on this offensive line. That's a great feeling to have. Trust me. The NFL only carries 8 offensive linemen on their roster. So that's kind of your ideal number of guys you feel like, all right, can go in and start a football game. So just to clear that up. Not saying we only have 8 guys we can play. That's not what he's saying. He's basically speaking on guys he'd feel comfortable starting.
Yeah, and you really need 5 or 6. You don't really need 8, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't.
Well, some years you do. They needed 8 last year, and they didn't have it.
They needed 12 last year.
Needed 47 of them last year.
Yeah. I think there was 11 with injuries last year.
That's like the highest and lowest I've ever felt in a day. Well, besides the Independence Bowl in 05, because it was such a long drive out there. And it was just, but dude, we had a great event, right? With the tailgate last year, right there in Charlotte. Fun times, caught up with friends, co-workers, Gamecocks. Whole baseball team was there. Mark Bryan. It's a beautiful night. It's a beautiful crowd. And then disaster struck.
We're not going back there.
Play on, I'm looking forward to Case and Henry. I was talking to somebody today that's real familiar with offensive line play at Carolina and in coaching, but not at Carolina, not at the school that I was referencing earlier. But he says he loves Case and Henry, and he says all the people he talks to at Carolina swear by the guy. And if you think about this, when Case has been healthy, he's been a starter. There's been no question about it. There was a battle at left tackle. There was no battle at right tackle this year.
He looked good. He looked good Saturday.
You think so? Yeah, He's an old Georgia boy now.
Yep.
You got to watch those old Georgia boys.
That's right.
That's right. Those 3 stars from Georgia. Hey, Notre Dame's going to start a 3-star from Georgia, true freshman at left tackle against A&M. That may not be too fun for them, but anyway, the Case and Henry, I look out for that guy. And when he talks, he sounds like a pro offensive line.
Oh yeah,
like he's like one of those dudes in the NFL. He's a big old guy. And you expect him. Oh, no, good. Hi, how are you? Yeah. My name's Case and Henry. How are you?
Yeah, his interview 2 weeks ago. Yeah, his interview 2 weeks ago was good. I thought he did a great job.
John, when we get back here from break, I still got another question or two that I want to ask you about this offense as it relates to what it may look like with Lenore Sellers, and we'll shift gears and get to the other side of the ball, and then we'll mix in some Florida State, Georgia Tech stuff this weekend too. So we got a lot of fun still coming up. Final break of the week. Big John here, Talkin Ball on ITG.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Ah, the summer solstice, when the ho-hum of the everyday is replaced by an overwhelming sense of freedom. A time for living, for rolling the windows down, cranking up the tunes, and blazing new trails. Now is your time. And Love Chevy is celebrating with incredible summer savings on the entire lineup of award-winning new Chevys. Unprecedented savings right now on the ride of your dreams. Love has them all, primed and fully equipped for your next adventure. And right now at the lowest prices of the year. The best prices anywhere, in fact. Love guarantees it. The others are still saying anything to lure you in and let you down. With the same old gimmicks and ridiculous add-ons. Love is different. Over 6 decades of honesty and integrity, and the long-standing belief that car buying should actually be a whole bunch of fun. Now is your time at Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
John called me or texted me, a couple of weeks ago and was like, dude, what the F? More of this.
It's like y'all need to put that out and promote that. I'm ready to go grab my helmet out in the other room in here and throw my pads on.
Yeah. Well, hey, good news, everybody. There's more coming. All right. Big John, Mike.
Hey,
John,
somebody inbox Zara Smith, Phil.
Hey,
She
Zara's
asked
in here
7 minutes ago. Nobody's in.
Old Zara needs a friend. Send her a message.
For
Phil.
those that don't follow the
Facebook
chat, it's a
feed
Russian.
and,
We get these Russian female bots sometimes, and they're like, "Hey, cutie, come email me."
And Chinese ones. Yeah, Russia and China is taking over the world if you haven't paid attention. So careful.
I can't tell. We've had so much interaction on Facebook whether or not she liked it. So I'm just going to leave it there since
I think she just likes you, Mad Dog.
Well, it's G-rated, so we'll let it ride.
Very G-rated. All right. Let's talk about the offense for a second. I think, and I don't know what to think necessarily when it comes to this year, but I do think a lot of what happened last year from a play calling standpoint, John, had a lot to do with the fact that what we just said a few minutes ago was entirely true. Spencer Rattler didn't have a lot of time to throw the football. So a lot of it you had to snap it and try to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as you could. I don't know how much of that clearly that's in the playbook, short type throws, get the ball to the playmakers and get the ball in space, let them go. I get it. I don't know that the entire offense is necessarily designed around that. I'm hopefully, if they're a little better up front, John, they'll be able to throw the football a little bit further down the field. Not 65-yard dimes all the time, but get the football down the field a little bit further. So would you say, looking back at the offense last year, that what they had to kind of do with what they had to work with, and if they're a little bit better up front this year, that maybe there are people who are fearful of these 5-7 yard type dishes, maybe we'll see the ball go down the field a little bit more with Lenoris.
Well, I don't think we're a little bit better than where we were towards the end of last year. I think we're a lot better on the offensive line. Last year we were pass heavy, and we had to be because we had trouble blocking and running the ball. I think this year we'll have a better run game, which is going to allow those shorter, quicker passes, especially on some play action stuff, to open up a little more and a little more time to throw the ball too. So, I think it's going to be a lot better this year. I think we're going to see a much improved offensive line. I don't even know the statistic, but I know, what was it? The Mississippi State game, Spencer had to throw the ball almost 50 times or something. Was something crazy like that because we just couldn't run the ball. We won the game, but you really don't want to have to throw the ball 45, 50 times in a game. You want to stay balanced. So I think this year with an improved offensive line and a guy named Rocket Sanders and Lenore Sellers back there, I think you see a little more of a complementary 50-50 kind of game. And that's going to help with the passing game. And to somewhat answer your question, I think this offensive line is a lot better equipped in pass blocking this year than we were with, all the freshmen and guys out of position. Just had plugging guys in everywhere all year just to try and figure something out. It was like I think there was a different starting offensive line just about every game except for a couple weeks in a row.
Perfect world scenario here. What does that number look like for Lenore Sellers as far as attempts and those things go? 25, 30?
Yeah, I think you want to keep him under 25. If you have to. Here's the problem. If you're behind in games, you tend to pass a lot more, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you don't want to see. If you can throw the ball for 25 times a game and then run it for 30, 35 times, that's really that's ideal. You know what that means? It means your defense is playing really good, and you're moving the ball, and you're probably up on the scoreboard. Is what that means. I mean, you just go back. I mean, a game. You know, we talk about Garcia's game against Alabama. I think he only threw 24 passes that entire game.
17 of 20.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around 20. So, and then we were able to run the ball too. So, and then the defense played great that game. So that's really the recipe you want. If you're an offensive guy, that's what you want.
I will say if the defense is better equipped to be on the field longer this year with more depth.
Yep.
Don't want to see that.
Nope.
Necessarily. Not saying that,
No.
but I am saying if they do have to trot them back out there, they should be decently fresh because I mean, guys, if you go back and look at the numbers in the game you were referencing, by the way, was Missouri, where Rattler threw like 40 or 41 times because he was 18 of 20 in that Mississippi State game last year.
Yeah. It was one of the games where he had to throw over 40 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And in Rattler's stint at Carolina, guys, very, very rare if he threw the football over like 35 times. Did they ever win the game? I mean, it was generally in the 20s, and Carolina was winning the football game.
Yeah.
So, it seems to be the formula. And that's been the formula around here, except for Dylan Thompson in 2014, kind of for a while. That ball control, high efficiency style of offense. I think people misinterpret maybe a little bit from time to time, John. And what I'm hearing you say is, let's say Lenore Sellers is on average an 18 of 25 quarterback for 217 yards. That's not a bad thing. That's an efficient thing, hopefully. But if he's out there tossing it around 35 and 40 times, the chances that this offense is actually clicking are probably not very good.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. I mean, especially with an athletic running quarterback and the running back we have, if we're having to throw the ball 35 times a game, it's not good. That's that's not good. That probably means the defense isn't playing good and the offense can't run the ball. So you definitely do not want that. I think that 20 to 25 is the sweet spot, in my opinion, because, like I said, that means your defense is clicking and you're running the ball well.
I'm just reading something funny on the internet. All right, John, on the defensive side of the football, we'll find out where we feel like we know where their strengths are. Certainly we'll find out when they get into the games and things like that. Depth has been the word. That's been the word, and we're going to see it. There's going to be a lot of guys that play next week. But when you look at the schedule and understanding who Carolina's got this year, the teams that are capable of scoring a bunch of points, these styles of play. I don't even know if we know what style of play Kentucky's going to be. I think we have an idea because of who Mark Stoops is, but I guess you kind of got to see it to believe it. LSU can score. Ole Miss can score. Bama can score. Oklahoma can score. A&M, don't know. Missouri could score. Clemson, don't know. What's with what we know right now today? Just today, this is a today conversation, not tomorrow. What we know right now today, what type of offense is going to give this Gamecock defense the most trouble?
I mean, you got that Ole Miss, man. They have just so many playmakers. They have a really good offensive line, and they have one of the, in my opinion, one of the smartest offensive coaches in college football today. So I think an offense like that could pose problems for any defense. I mean, you can talk about, Georgia's had the best defense, whatever. I mean, it'll cause them problems too. So, I mean, really, I think that's one that can cause you some problems. The LSU, but, they don't have Daniel. So I know what they did in the bowl game with that guy, but they still lost guys off of that offense that played in that bowl game. So I just, there's some really good offenses we're going to face. Oklahoma's got a new quarterback this year. So there's no more Dylan Gabriel. He's the Heisman favorite out there in Oregon now. So I just don't know. I think, but Ole Miss offense comes to mind. I mean, because we've seen what they've been able to do over the years with Lane Kiffin, and they have a ton of talent. on that side of the ball this year. So I think that's the kind of offense and it's not just the Carolina defense. It causes anybody they play every week big problems.
I think Missouri's going to have a really good offense this year too. Their receivers are good. Their O-line is good. I think even though they lost Cody Schrader, who led the SEC in rushing, I think Marcus Carroll and the kid they got from App State, who's like an Alvin Kamara clone, is somebody they've not had. Brady Cook's old. Eli's not calling the plays anymore. It's Kirby Moore, Kellen Moore's brother. He did a great job last year. I think offensively, the Missouri Tigers are going to be a problem if they stay healthy.
I don't disagree with that. They have arguably the best receiver in the SEC. And we all seen how Brady Cook's just whooped our butts here the past 2 years. So, yeah, that's one to watch too. But I also think, Missouri lost a ton of guys off defense, and I think that could cause them an issue this year in some of their games.
And keep in mind, both Mizzou and Ole Miss have to come to Williams-Brice. Offenses don't play as well on the road. And Ole Miss has to prove they can light it up on the road too, John. That was their bugaboo last year. They just were not – they were a different team on the road.
Yeah, they were. They went to Georgia and basically laid an egg, right? Like they had played everybody really good, scoring a ton of points, doing all this. They went to Georgia and absolutely laid an egg, big time.
Alabama shut them down too. Auburn had them. They beat Auburn by 7, but Auburn could have beaten them in the Hugh Freeze Bowl. You mentioned third down and you guys getting off the field. That's been atrocious. That I don't know. Somebody pulled up the stats and showed me the other day. It has been like toward the bottom of the SEC third down defense. That's one big key for this defense this year, and maybe being a little fresher, will help that because you'll be able to sub.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about the third down efficiency of the defense last year, it probably comes to mind with y'all. There's one game that just comes to mind on third down, and that was that Florida game, right? We gave up so many third downs there at the end of the game. There was a third and forever, 2 miles, and they got it on that drive that they go down and score to beat us. So I think that's one thing that's going to help with this defense is having the depth and fresher guys to be able to attack the quarterback and not let them just stand in the pocket forever. So I think that's really going to help this year, and I think that's one part of the defense we'll definitely see improve. Or I hope. I'm knocking on wood.
We've talked about this third down stuff, JC, a few times. Identical, really, quite frankly, the last 2 seasons, where Carolina's given up over 43% of conversions on third downs. Last year it was 43.9, which basically is 44. The year before it was 43.4, like that. And John, to kind of back up your comments there just a minute ago, it's not necessarily that they were losing third down because of first and second down. It's not like there's a ton of third and shorts. I mean, we've seen the long ones, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10 plus, bam, converted. And I don't know, I guess there are, but like when you're in a football game,
I already know what you're going to ask me, and I have the answer for it. Go ahead, though.
The answer is no, right? There's nothing more deflating.
Right. It is, to me, especially a 3rd and 10 plus, and you give it up, it is probably the most deflating, break your back play that can happen in a football game. And that's just me, playing football my whole life and so into it. There's nothing worse than giving up a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 17. But there's nothing better for your offense to get a 3rd and 17 on the opposing team's defense. So my point is, you go up here, the offense, and then you're way down here as the defense when something like that happens, or just a team morale in general. I mean, it's just such it's a frustrating thing.
Yeah. It's there. I don't know who I was talking to, but it was somebody at South Carolina, and this is deja vu for me. Now I'm going to have to remember who it was. And when I do, I'll text you. It's been a while ago, years, I'm sure, talking with coaches. And I remember saying something similar. Man, there's nothing more deflating than giving up 3rd and long. And somebody said, yeah, if you give up 4th and long. And whoever it was that was with South Carolina goes, no, because if you just get off the field on 3rd and long, you don't have to worry about 4th. The 3rd and long is deflating. 4th and long, you deserved it.
Right.
I was like, well, that's not a bad way to look at it. Which is true. Yeah, there was really never any. I think a lot of it, JC just said it. I think that was such a huge piece of that puzzle. They just didn't have the players, and they didn't have enough of them. And now they do, and they have more. And I feel like that is going to contribute in solving a lot of these problems. Linebackers are, I don't know, as exciting as it is to feel like you're good in the lines of scrimmage, and I do think that they are good on the defensive side of the football up front. I think they got a lot of players. We're going to get to Dylan in a minute. But I just can't remember the last. They've got 22 years, dude. 22 years of college football experience with their top 4 linebackers. 22 years, John. And it's not like these are just 4 cats who just sat around. You know, they've all been playing ball. Like, they're all pretty good football players.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just super excited about the linebacking core. I hope they show up and do what I think they can do. I think all those guys can have a big year. I mean, you're deep there, and a linebacker is a position where you're running all over the field, and to be able to have a quality player behind you come in and not miss a beat is a big thing when it comes to linebackers. I think last year, especially the first half of the season, it just seemed like we were scared to put anybody else in the game. Because basically we didn't have anybody else. You basically had 3 guys you were comfortable with playing last year. So our linebackers, man, comes the 4th quarter, hands on the knees, wore out. I mean, it's just that's what's going to happen when you don't have depth. And then you bring in the depth we have this year out of the transfer portal, and then the experienced guys coming back. I think it's going to be a very good thing for this defense.
I love Knight. I love Kamara. Those guys are going to be I think they're going to be great football players for this Carolina defense. Man, I love freaking Bam Bam. Bam Bam and Debo. I don't know if he likes being called Bam Bam, but until he tells me I can't do that anymore and he tackles me, he's going to be Bam Bam around here. All right, Dylan Stewart. Are you smoking a cigarette? What was going on? Oh, that was a straw. I was like, man,
I'm smoking a cigarette.
this guy's like the female, that girl golfer that just walks around the golf course and rips heaters.
Hey, Joe Namath for the Jets back in the day on the sidelines, just smoking cigarettes.
That's right. Well, let me tell you about the linebackers. That's kind of funny. You're our version of Joe Morrison. Wear black next week.
Who's that iconic NFL picture? Hank Stram, is that it? And he's got one, and he's got sipping a bottle of beer, ripping a heater at halftime.
That's how you did things back then.
Hey, man, we've come a long way.
Jim Leland smoked cigarettes in the dugout in like 2004 when the Tigers were like making a run in the postseason. He was ripping one in the hallway. All right, John, I don't think Dylan Stewart is going to start next week. But you've been watching closely. Dylan Stewart has a chance to not only play a lot, but probably maybe even surprise his coaching staff a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I know, and I think Perry said it yesterday or whatever, but I've heard he's been unblockable in pass pro. And, I mean, this is against all of our tackles, so – I mean, that just goes to tell you, and our tackles are not bad. So let's just put that out there. He's just so quick off the ball. That quick twitch he's got, those quick twitch fiber muscles he's got in his body. I mean, he's just explosive. I was telling you, I was like, I think that we're going to see him kind of very similar to how Clowney played back in 2011, his freshman year. Clowney didn't start. But, when you have the quarterback or the offense backed up, you'd move Melvin into the 3 technique to have a one-on-one pass rush. then you had Devin Taylor, and then you got Clowney, and it seemed to work very well. So you're going to see Dylan Stewart play a lot, and I think it's going to be very similar to kind of how we saw Clowney develop his freshman year. And Clowney had some big plays his freshman year. I mean, the big one that comes to mind is the game at Georgia where he sacks Murray, makes him fumble, and Melvin picks it up for a touchdown. I mean, Clowney was a true freshman. That was, early in the season, his second, third game, So I think you see Stewart somewhat in that same because I think our D ends, I think we're 5 or 6 deep of guys we would feel good being in that game. I think this is the most talent we've had on the edge in a very, very long time.
You made one mistake in all that. It's Hall of Famer Melvin Ingram, as he was selected yesterday to the Letterman's Hall of Fame alongside Pharaoh Cooper, who played for Coach Spurrier. Yeah, I also want to make sure that people understand, like, we're not trying to build this team into being able to win the Super Bowl. No. But there is a little bit of excitement because John, it's been a few months of conversation about the fact that we just haven't seen this much competition at this many different positions at South Carolina. Quality competition in quite some time. And what I know about my experience in athletics, college athletics, obviously your experience, when you have quality competition and you just have to continue to work because you're going to lose your job if you don't, everybody for the most part gets better. I don't want to say like this is the weakest spot on the team and things like that. I mean, I still think that the offensive line is probably the focal point of how good are they going to be. I think there's a lot of talent there, but how good collectively as a unit are they going to be? But overall, from what we've learned about the competition at every different position group, I'm not so sure that they could have had a better few weeks of preparation going into the season.
Yeah, I think it's been good. Like I said, I think it's made them better going against the D tackles and the D ends we have and the linebackers. I think it's I'm really excited just to see this first game. All right. You'll learn a lot this first game, even though, Old Dominion does have a All-American linebacker. So let's don't forget that. But, it's not Kentucky. You're not going to be playing against Kentucky's D tackle, who's the number 1 D tackle in the draft this upcoming year. But this will be good. I'm excited just to see it. Obviously, I heard y'all talking about it earlier this week when I was watching the show. Like, tired of talking about it. Let's see it, right? So that's what I'm ready to do. I'm ready to see it, and then talk about what we actually see during the game. Because here's the thing about games and practice. All right, talk about practice. Yeah. All right, let's be real. When the lights come on a Saturday, some people are just gamers, and they perform. Practice to me is harder than the game. All right, that's just my opinion.
It should be harder.
From playing football all my life, practice is harder than the game. And I think any of the guys I play with, or any guy in the NFL or wherever, they'll probably tell you the same thing. Practice is harder than the game. So when you get in the game, some people are just gamers when the light comes on, and I hope that's what happens. I mean, that's my favorite kind of player. I mean, yeah, practice is hard. Yeah, everything's not great, but you're practicing to make it better. And then when the lights come on that Saturday, when the test is there to be taken after you studied all week, and you go out there and you ace it because you're a gamer, that's my favorite kind of thing. So obviously everything remains to be seen. All I can tell you is what I've seen with my own 2 eyes and what I hear. I feel good, really good about this defense. I feel good about the offensive line. I know that's a lot of talk, but I feel good about it.
Yep. Yeah, look, I've just been crunching some numbers, John and JB, and you mentioned the run game. I don't think I think in addition to not realizing how bad my dog doesn't like the edge position at Carolina, how bad edge was last year, and pass rush has been lacking. The run game on offense. I mean, you're looking at totals like 32 yards, 44, -2 against North Carolina.
Embarrassing.
So I did the Power 5 because Beamer said 15-3. They're 10-3 against Power 5 schools. Okay, so let's take Vanderbilt out. 7-3, 70% of the time when they rush for 100 yards, which is not that much as a team.
Yep.
Against Power 5 competition, they're 7-3. Here are the 3 losses. 2 of them were last year. One was to Florida. That game was not on the offense under any circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
One was last year to Tennessee, and I think Mario had like a 75-yard run. So the 132 they got in that game's a little skewed, right? And then the other loss, I believe, was to Tennessee the first year up there where Kevin Harris got going a little bit, and they threw the stupid pass, and they ran it in the second half with success after they're down 38-7. So there's 2 losses to the Vols up there where your defense wasn't stopping them. And then that Florida game, which was on the defense. So he's right. And I'm telling you, 100 yards is not, it's not crazy. That's not something, you want to average, hopefully you average about 150 at least a game.
Yeah.
So don't count that out. I mean, and as people talk about play calling all the time, you can ask Spurrier or whoever. It's a lot easier to call plays when you can establish a run.
Yeah.
And stay balanced so the defense doesn't know what's coming. You're not tipping them. So I didn't know that was that extreme as far as success when they do run the ball. I mean, this team ran for 79 yards against a Georgia State defense that gave up rushing yards in droves. Spencer Rattler's first game. I mean, so it's been an issue. I think the issues have been different year to year, but they can go out and have a good run game this year. The offense will click, I think.
Yeah.
And to your point, JC, 150 plus, they are 8-2 under Shane Beamer when running for 150 yards. So average 150, probably gonna win a lot of football games if you're the South Carolina Gamecocks here in 2024. Big John, that's it. Next week, game time. We'll look at the matchup with ODU.
Yeah, I'm ready for some football tomorrow.
Yeah. Who do you got? Who do you have? Florida State, Georgia Tech. You going with the upset?
No, I'm going with Florida State. Okay. I think Georgia Tech's going to keep it close, but I'm going Florida State. Mainly the reason why is my brother's wife's side of the family, and then my cousins and aunt and uncle, they're all Florida State fans. So they used to be Gamecock fans when I played, but, they have to go back to their team when I'm not playing. So they're all Florida State fans.
Down there. It's close to Tallahassee.
45 minutes. 45 minutes from Florida State. I got to meet Bobby Bowden a couple times down there getting recruited by him. But
Bobby.
Yep. So just ready for some football. Ready for our season to kick off. Booked all my plane tickets, hotels for all the away games. So got all that knocked out this past week. So got my Patrick Davis set up, ready to roll.
There you go.
All that fun stuff for Nashville. Little halls on Friday night booked. So ready to rock.
Can't wait, man. Cannot wait. Always thankful to have you around. Next week, it'll be Inside the Gamecocks, the preview show with John Strickland. And, we won't say the other guy's name, even though he did send me a text. But he'll be here. He'll show up next week. Thanks, brother. Enjoy football. It's back.